proclamation by Wesley Memorial United Methodist pastor Ramon Torres.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, in your goodness, watch over those in authority, so that people everywhere may enjoy freedom, security, and peace. To that end, bless those who have gathered here this evening. May they be ever mindful of their obligation to the men, women, and children of Bradley County. May they work in harmony with one another so that the needs of our communities will be met. Let honesty and integrity define the actions of those who have gathered here. May our leaders here, and those elected to serve throughout our country, always seek the way of righteousness, justice, and mercy. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Now a report from our county mayor, Mayor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. I have a resolution that's coming around. I respectfully request someone put on the agenda. What it is, it's a resolution giving a construction easement to the city of Cleveland on Dooley Street. We're going to be doing some construction on Dooley Street along our health department and our ambulance service there, and they need an easement. They're paying $300 for this easement once you approve it next week. So if someone would put that on the agenda, I would appreciate it.
Commissioner Cry.
The only other thing I have is you have your final budget books in front of you. We want to give you a hard copy of the final product for you to keep or to pass on to someone else if you'd like. It also is online. This is the final thing that you'll be voting on next week, and then later on, Commissioner Blake will have the two budget resolutions that put that budget in resolution form, as well as the two tax rate resolutions. So that's all I have, unless someone has a question for me.
Anyone have any questions of the mayor?
If not, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Reports from committees and/or districts. We'll start to my right, Commissioner Everson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everything's doing good in the first district.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hughes.
Mr. Chairman, I was notified over the weekend that apparently there was a fire at the landfill. I was going to check with the mayor to see if he had any information on that and how it started. Do you have any knowledge of it?
No, I haven't heard anything on this. We have had them in the past. I don't know how to explain how that works, but sometimes it does. There is a fire. I would say it wrong if I try to explain it, and I assume that must be what's happened, but I didn't hear anything on this one. Sorry.
That's no problem. I'm sure as safely as they try to run it, you always have accidents, and I know that. I was just going to talk or find out a little bit about it because I had some concerned constituents about it. Otherwise, I have nothing else to pass on.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Reminder to commissioners, please turn on your microphone when you speak. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Alford.
Second district's doing well. Just one question for the mayor here on this resolution, Mayor. They talk about current right-of-way and all that. If they did damage to our road, is that covered anywhere?
Our parking lot, you mean, probably. My understanding, and I have slept since we had this discussion with the city, but my understanding is, I don't know if it's sidewalks down through there by the ambulance, but they will be doing some construction on the right-of-way, but they need to be over on us to set up for that construction. There shouldn't be that, is what you're saying, but if there was, yeah, they would be liable for it. And on that same note, while I think of it, the garage door, the beam has been taken out, the double doors is gone, the new single garage door is up, the vinyl is on there. They're missing one piece of metal across the top to cover up the beam that they said they should have on there tomorrow, so that exterior project will be finished as of tomorrow, I believe. And that sort of answer your question on the right-of-way thing. My understanding is they just need to be over on us to do the work as opposed to being in the street doing it. And so it's a long period of time that they'll be doing some work up through there, but the work actually is happening on the right-of-way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Alford. Commissioner Blake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I need to place on the July 5th, 2022 voting session agenda the following resolutions. Resolution fixing the tax levy for fiscal year 2022-2023. Resolution fixing the fire tax levy for fiscal year 2022-2023. Resolution make appropriations to various funds, departments, institutions, office, and agencies for fiscal year 2022-2023. And resolution make appropriations to nonprofit charitable organizations for fiscal year 2022-2023. You probably have, if you have not already, you will receive an electronic copy via email, but if you would like a hard copy, please get with Lori and she will provide you a hard copy of the following resolutions. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Peak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today, the Ocoee Region Builders Association collaborated with Habitat for Humanity and built a 4-bedroom house in Jeff Morlock Meadows. We call it Jeff Morlock Meadows. It's Morlock Meadows, but it was the first home built in former Commissioner Morlock Meadows subdivision, and we're proud to have been a part of that. I sat with him up here my first term, and he was a great commissioner, and he had a heart for the community, and it was an honor to build the first house in that subdivision. So I appreciate everybody that came out. We had 2 commissioners come out, Dennis Everson, part of Orba, and Kevin Ripper came out. Kevin came out in a white t-shirt in construction, and he just jumped right in there and worked. He didn't stand around and ask what to do. He just jumped right in and went to work, and we're proud of him for doing that. And it even rained on us, and he continued to work. Some of us took cover, but he stayed out there and worked. So we appreciate you coming out today, Kevin. I've been hearing rumors about something that happened a couple of weeks ago on Banther Road, and the road was closed for a few days at best. So I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I want you guys to watch this video, and I will point out a few things and I have questions about it. This is county equipment, obviously, and we don't do work off of the right-of-ways. This is a driveway. This is not a road. That work, to me, looks to be 75 to 100 feet off of the right-of-way. And if you look on the geosystem, that is a blue line stream that is right there. And I never saw a blue line stream sign go up 30 days prior to any work being done. You have to have an ARAP from the state of Tennessee to work on blue line stream, to go across it with any tile or anything else. So I never saw an ARAP go up, never saw any of that. So I just have questions. Number one, where the work order is. I want to see a work order on this. How many feet off the right of way we actually went. From what I'm always told, is that we can't do work off the county right of way. I'm pretty sure we all get told that on a daily basis. We have a driveway that needs little tiles put in on Corbin Road all the time that might be just 1 foot off the right of way, and we can't do it. It's against the law. We can't do that. So if I took a measuring stick down there, I don't know, I'm a builder. Sometimes I can kind of guesstimate that looks to be way off of our county right of way to me. That is crush and run that's on the top bed there, and that is riprap on the side beds. Now, if this is a driveway, I want to see who paid for all of this crush and run, who paid for the use of the great all and the 2 mini excavators that are there, the labor entailed for all that. It was done during the week, which was a work week. Then on a Thursday, 1 mini X was left for the employee of the road department whose driveway this is, kept until that Monday to dress it up or do whatever he needed. There's also head walls that you can't see in this. There are 2 tile that were put in. They were 60 inches wide, 20-foot length, 2 of them. So it was a 40-foot wide, 60-inch tiles put in. Now the homeowner could have had those, I don't know. I'd like to see receipts either way. Did this cost the county taxpayers? And I'm not accusing anyone, I just want to know, because that looks like it's off the right of way to me, and I could be deceived. Heck, maybe it's right on the right of way. But I never saw an ARAP sign go up. or anything that would lead me to think that this was done properly. And I looked it up on the system, the state website, TDEX Geosystem, to see if that's blue line stream. And according to me looking at it, and I could be wrong on that too, that is blue line stream. So you got head walls, plenty of riprap, plenty of crush and run, and 2 tiles. So my guesstimation, that's 25,000 plus project, plus labor, just the material. So those are my questions. If the chairman of the road department, Tim, would like to take that and get me some answers, or get our county taxpayers some answers. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner
That's
Crest,
a follow-up question. If I understood you correctly, you said that was a Bradley County Road Department employee's driveway? Is that what
That is correct.
thank you. Second district's doing fine.
thank you, Mr. Crown. Mr. Thompson.
I heard that.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Slater.
I have nothing to report tonight, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Mason.
6th District's doing well until I received a phone call from Sugar Creek Road. They've got some wells out there that are failing. So I know how I feel about water and stuff. The next 4 years I'll be on kick to get water to these folks too. This is going to be between probably Hawkins Road and Union Road out south. So from what I understand, it's a brand new home that the well is dry. So put that on the thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Davis.
All is well in 6. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to say, we all the time hear negative things about TDOT, but I actually have a couple of positive things to say. I gave a couple of concerns that constituents had about the road project going on out in West Cleveland, and they addressed both of them, and to very good nature, and the reason why I say that is because the constituents have gotten back with me, and they were pleased with what they've done. So anyway, I appreciate TDOT being so cooperative and working with us. And the other thing is a question for Mr. Chair. I have a person that would like to address the commission about non-contiguous annexation. Is now a good time, or would you rather me wait?
Well, let's wait until we go to the
Yes, sir.
annexation process. We can definitely do that. Okay. Commissioner Winters.
No report, Mr. Chairman. Please find the 7th District.
Okay, moving into the agenda. We changed how we do things. Now we have 2 public hearings, okay, concerning this before we look at anything. So, in relation to item A, which is Commissioner Peak's agenda item, at this time, anybody who wants to speak for this or against this, now's the time to come to the podium and speak for or against. And you're recognized. You can go ahead, Commissioner Ray.
I would like to recognize Mr. Max Phillips,
Okay.
please. And I didn't have my microphone. Mr. Max Phillips, another one.
What?
I can't hear. What?
He said he didn't have his microphone on to announce you properly.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you all commissioners, that what you do for Bradley County. We don't know how good we've got it, and it's all because of y'all's help, and we appreciate it. I've come to talk about the non-contiguous annexation of this 23.64 acre tract off of New Murraytown and Free Will Roads. The reason I'm the chairman of the Government Affairs Committee for the River Counties Association of Realtors. And we like to watch and see what's good for Cleveland and what's bad for Cleveland, and we want to let y'all know we do watch. And that's why I'm here. A lot of the non-contiguous annexation that has taken place lately in Bradley County has been a big box builder. This particular development is not big box, it's local. So they are going to buy local lumber. They're going to use local realtors. They're going to spend their tax dollars here. and it's gonna keep the money here. And that's a very positive thing for our development, to keep it going. I've heard some rumors about the schools, I've heard some rumors about a road, and the realtors aren't really gonna get involved in that. What we wanna do is just tell you that we support this annexation of this property, because they need sewer and we need houses. And we need them. And we would appreciate anything that y'all could do as far as approving this. The realtors are behind it, and we're 600 strong with lenders, 900, on and on and on. So we'd like to put our support with it. Okay? Thank you.
Stationary. If you don't mind, go ahead, Ben, after Mr. Charlotte Peak, Commissioner Peak wants to say something. Go ahead, Ben.
Ben Berry with Berry Engineers. Thank you for letting me speak today. So I think in your packet, a lot of times you get some information that looks just, it's a blank piece of property, and I don't know exactly what information you have, but I wanted to speak to you to give you some more detailed information about the development itself and why it's good for both the city and the county. This is, the density of this development, it's a 97 unit development, but it's divided into two different sections. There's a townhome section with 59 units that accesses off Freewell Road. If you're familiar with this area used to be a mobile home park. So the townhomes will take the place of what used to be a mobile home park. We'll have a driveway off of Freewell Road. I believe the city is proposing annexing all of Freewell Road up to this point. In the back of the property has 4 different streams, all of which are being avoided with the development. So we have a separate single-family subdivision that's 38 lots that will access New Murraytown Road. As part of the annexation and the zoning with the city, this property will dedicate right-of-way along New Murraytown Road, widen New Murraytown Road along the frontage to make it easier for vehicles turning in and out of the development, and add curb and gutter. I believe the city is also annexing the section of New Murraytown Road along this development as well, which is where a lot of the damage could occur for trucks coming in and out. So the city would be responsible for that. Development, just generally speaking, development in the city is good for the county budget, and it's an essential component for keeping county taxes low. It adds to the county revenues while the city takes on much of the expenses and the upkeep. And that's really what you're looking at today in the level of service agreement that the city has provided. You guys know this, you've been presented with it and have talked about it extensively, but just as a reminder, the city and county have already reached an agreement as to which properties can be annexed. It's a growth plan. It was agreed upon by the commission, by this county commission, and by the city. So a discussion as to whether it qualifies for annexation has already been resolved. And this property is well within the growth plan that the county commission has already agreed to. We presented in front of the road committee last week, and a lot of the issues that were brought up were more relevant for the commission as a whole. So I do appreciate this being brought up and us being able to speak to everyone so we can all hear and make good decisions. Because delays are costly. It costs with inflation, as we're all well aware. Interest rates are going up. And there are growth issues that need to be, we have growth issues that need to be discussed, need to be addressed. But these issues are not unique to this development. And what I would ask is that we look at this development, find a way to approve it while you continue to work on growth that occurs in Bradley County and the issues that creates. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Mr. Peak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand this issue was tabled by the road committee, but I asked for it to be brought before the full commission for discussion. I'm scratching my head a little because the road committee met to discuss this and didn't talk about roads at all. Instead, they tabled it on concerns surrounding education. One reason it was tabled was because of a recently passed bill that went into law, House Bill 2430. The concern brought up at the road committee meeting was that under this new law, the city of Cleveland could annex and take over one of our county schools if the city limits touch the school property. I know Crystal is not here tonight to give us her legal opinion, but I think a quick read of law answers my questions we have on it. I asked Lori to send a copy to each of you on this today. In section 1, it clearly states that the county school must operate within the geographical boundary of the city. This property doesn't even touch the Prospect School property, much less surround it. So I think we can set that concern aside. I also asked Lori to send updated plats showing the proposed development of the property. It will be 2 separate subdivisions, one with 59 townhomes and an entrance on Freewell Road, and another on the backside of the property with 38 lots for single-family homes and an entrance on New Murraytown Road. 97 total residents combined. It was originally stated the development would be over 120, but you can clearly see the numbers much lower. Another concern was brought up concerning education, and it was. Prospect is already at capacity and cannot take any additional students without creating an overcrowding issue. The concern also stated that the students from this development would surely go to Prospect instead of Candies Creek Cherokee Elementary, the school that it is zoned for in the city. The problem I have with this concern is that we do not have to accept students who are out of the zone. These students would have a school to attend, and they would receive a wonderful education there. Just because they are closer to Prospect and wish to go to Prospect does not mean we have to accept them at Prospect. We are not required to do so. I understand that when a city student crosses zones into the county system, the state funding follows the student. I can appreciate the fact that our school system takes that extra $6,000 and puts it to good use. But that money can only be used in the operational budget, not when it comes to capital projects. In other words, it's great when we can take a student in and get the extra money that comes with them, but when we create an overcrowding issue or situation for ourselves, it's on this commission and the taxpayers to come up with the money to add on or even build a new school. Real growth in the county is happening, and we will certainly need to address it in the future, but this is a problem we create for ourselves. We are not required to accept these students if they ask to attend Prospect, especially if we do not have the room. We keep hitting roadblocks whenever one of these annexation requests come before us. 6 or 7 times now we have approved them with no problem. Only recently have we started to make things more difficult. It is hard to imagine this is happening for any other reason than to be uncooperative with the city of Cleveland. This is a win-win for the county. We don't lose a single dime by this property being annexed into the city. In fact, we stand to gain. Currently, the 97 residential units being proposed will only be possible if sewer services are provided. If annexation does not occur and the property has to be developed without sewer, the number of residential units could be cut by as much as half. The tax revenue on 97 units versus 45 units is considerable. By annexing into the city, the services to the road, education, infrastructure, emergency services all become the responsibility of the city. We assume all of the upside with none of the commitment. The city has agreed to take in the road on Freewell up to the entrance of the townhome development, as well as the road frontage on New Murraytown at the entrance to the single-family home development. I get tired of hearing that the city is forcing annexation by refusing to allow sewer to be run outside the city limits. I understand why they don't. Without the increase in the tax base, it does not make financial sense for them to expand their services into the county. The cost charged to each home doesn't begin to cover the overall expense of generating more capacity for their system. We need to stop asking about a waiver and assume the answer is no. Mr. Kreis mentioned his property and the availability of sewer at his home as a county-only resident, but I would point out that that development and those sewer lines were ran before the recent forced annexation ban was put into place. His was grandfathered in. This is not forced annexation that we are talking about today. You have the City of Cleveland and Cleveland Utilities who offer a service to the city residents. and you have a county property owner and developer requesting annexation. And who are we to tell them no, they can't do what they want with their own property? No one is being forced to do anything. The city and the county already agreed on this growth plan. There is no good reason to stand in the way of progress. Based on the recent changes to how we do this, we have to have 2 voting sessions to discuss this before being able to vote on it. This one counts as the first. Work sessions, sorry. We have to have 2 work sessions to discuss this before being able to vote on it. This one counts as the first. I would like to go ahead and ask that the resolution approving the interlocal agreement be placed on the voting session following the second work session, which is July the 18th. Also, I had done some research really quick before we got here on that law, and also talked to one of the people that drafted the bill. The reason that law was put into effect, it only affects Germantown and Millington. And the chairman of House Education, Mark White, has communicated this information directly, he said, to the Board of Education. So there's the facts on that. So, Chairman, I'll place that on the agenda and continue July the 18th, and you can continue with your public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Going back in the public hearing, anybody else, and I will get you Commissioner Thompson, Mr. Epperson after their third, okay? Thank you, sir. You state your name, please.
Jim Wilson. I live out there right across the street from where this is gonna happen. And thank you for letting me address the media. Is it on? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Our main concern out there, I live off of Crystal View, and that's just across the street on New Murraytown. I was a business major, I'm not an MPA, so, but I did a lot of research over the weekend on that law and continuous and non. Okay, our main concern on Crystal View is, are we gonna get gobbled up into the city later on? Obviously, I don't think that's gonna be an issue from reading that law. However, having talked to most of my neighbors out there, we do have a major concern with New Murraytown Road. Now, when I was at the road committee Wednesday, the people from the city stated that they wanted to annex the entire New Murraytown Road in that meeting. Okay? Not just the part right in front of that. So that's one issue that we need to get hashed out here too. The other thing is, if you've ever been out to New Murraytown Road, if 2 pickup trucks meet on that road, one of them's got to get in the ditch just about. Okay? It's not going to handle that kind of traffic. So, you know, if the road's going to be widened, that's fine. But, you know, we need to make sure something out there happens, because it's already bad. They put in a lot of new houses down on the other end, north end of New Murraytown, and the traffic is getting really bad out there. The other thing is, everybody comes down New Murraytown, cuts across, which that's a bad intersection there, right below the school on Harris Pike, and they go down Harris Creek to get on exit 20 instead of 25, if they're going to Chattanooga or anywhere else down that way. Because it's just faster to go that way. So there's a lot of traffic that comes through there. During the school year, I don't know if you've ever been out there, it's a mess. Every morning, every afternoon, okay? There's a lot of traffic that comes through there. The other thing I read, and as I was researching this over the weekend, as far as the annexation goes, you know, that's up to a vote to you folks here, but that sewer can be tapped if the city of Cleveland, their council, waives it. So you really don't have to have an annexation to tap onto that new sewer line. So that's a little bit to think about too. It is going to probably impact the school down there. It's a great little school. They would be lucky if they get to go to that school. But, you know, when you have 100 houses coming in, there's going to be a lot of folks, and it's hard to tell somebody that, hey, I live, you know, I can see that school, and my kid's got to get on the bus and go to the other side of town over here to go to school. You know, it's a great school. If they want to expand it, I think they should at some point do that. We should as the county. But anyway, that's our concerns right now from out there in the neighborhood. There's a lot of growth out there. There's a lot of people that are really worried out in that community, because we actually bought our houses out there. I bought mine back in '98 when I retired from the military, because I wanted to live out in the county. You know, I don't want to live in the city. I bought a house down in the city. But I understand growth and I understand how things happen, and I'm not against that. We just want to make sure that we get a fair shake out there, and people take a hard look at this, and, you know, we do our best. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it. Anybody else want to speak? Come on up, sir.
Commissioners, my name is David Young, and I live down the street from Jim in Crystal View, and I just want to iterate what he's saying, our concern for annexation. Of course, I understand there's a law passed by the state of Tennessee in 2014 that says an individual can request annexation into the city. Other than that, it has to be a referendum. You know, there has to be a vote on it. So I'm a little confused as to where the annexation is going to start or end. You're talking about more than just that one piece of property, or other pieces of property that's going to be on the New Murraytown or Prospect area. And so, I mean, maybe somebody can, how do they get away with it without a referendum? I don't quite understand that.
Mr. P.
So the way the forced annexation law works is if your property touches the city, you don't have to come before the county to get annexed. You just request to be annexed into the city.
Right.
If it doesn't touch the city and you're not too far away, but you're in that growth plan that was approved 20 years ago or whenever, you can request annexation, has to come before the county commission, and then everybody has to agree on the roads and the services that are in between that property that's wanting to be annexed and the actual city limits. Now, the referendum that they're talking about in this law is, and this happened I think in Charleston recently, a group of people can get together and request to be annexed, and someone may not want to be annexed. Then it would have, like if you had a subdivision and just say 1 out of 10 didn't want to be annexed, that would have to go to a referendum and be voted on by the constituents. So all the voters would have to vote on that.
Does this not apply to this situation?
No, this is 2 properties requesting annexation.
Right.
Because they don't actually touch the city. There's a piece of property in between them that doesn't touch the city. So they request individually to be annexed. It does not take in the other parcel in between them that is not annexed. It does not take, and even if all of New Murraytown Road is annexed in, I didn't read that part, if the whole road is taken in by the city, then Crystal View is not taken in unless each property owner requests annexation. It's
Right.
only the property owners that are requesting annexation, even if the road is all city.
So what you're saying is these 2 property owners can request annexation. That's the way I understand the law, but anybody other than that, they have to be individuals requesting it, or either, say, the rest of New Murraytown has to have a referendum on that?
Because if you have one person that doesn't want it, and those are property owners, so they're individual property owners
Sure.
requesting. So just say your whole subdivision wanted to be annexed except for one person, then that would have to go to a vote by everybody in the county, not just your group. It would have to go to referendum, so it had to be voted on.
Yeah, I find it kind of hard to believe that the whole street would be annexed in,
Yeah.
because there's too many people there that you can't find the benefits of going into the city. You pay additional taxes, you get really nothing out of it, and there's not really any benefits that I can see. You know, as far as what we're talking about here, the development, and such as Jim said too, we live right on New Murraytown. Like Jim stated, you can't have 2 cars pass. And of course, maybe that will be resolved. But then again, you know, do we really want to look at townhouses, you know, a new subdivision right in front of our subdivision? So, I mean, I would be willing to say that pretty much our whole neighborhood, which consists of, would you say 35 homes, or thereabouts, would be against it. So, I just wanted to ask.
In my opinion, the request for annexation is actually, I don't see how we can say no to it because it's in the 20-year growth plan. If they request to be annexed, it's private property right it's their right, just like yours, to be annexed,
Right.
if you wanted to be annexed.
You've got a good point, but where does this 20-year growth plan begin and end?
Do you have the map you pull up and show it to them sometime during this?
I mean, does it encompass our neighborhood? And so just because it's in the 20-year growth plan, does that mean that they can?
They can't annex, only if the property owner requests. Forced annexation was stopped. So that's why they have a growth plan. That's the only boundaries that they can ever grow, only if you request it.
And when was that growth plan submitted? Before 2014? When the state?
2010.
2010.
Yeah, Commissioner Winters and Commissioner Harris.
There was forced annexation before this, sir. There was forced annexation. So the state allowed this growth pattern to be around the district, so people could ask for it individually there. So there is no forced annexation now. So that was clear.
Right.
This just gives the individuals that own this property are ready to make that.
Okay.
So it's not going to affect you directly.
Yeah, I can understand how that works as far as
Commissioner Epperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to explain something to you about the referendum. Just let's put an example out there. Like say, and I've had some calls from people in your subdivision, Crystal View, having septic tank problems. Let's say 50% of the people in that subdivision start experiencing septic tank failures. And or let's say 60%. And 40% don't have septic tank problems. And then this 60% of this people that live in this subdivision request a referendum, and then it goes to a vote. Usually that's when a referendum is usually used, and when there's an issue, environmental issue or something, but basically it hardly is ever used. It's basically like what Commissioner Pick was talking about, Charleston. They have an interlocal agreement with the city of Cleveland, or Cleveland Utility and the city of Cleveland, for sewer up in that area. They wanted to extend infrastructure. And basically that's why they had the referendum, to be able to give it to the people, the voters, to be able to make a decision whether they wanted to extend it and make Charleston grow. And the referendum was successful and it passed, and Charleston grew. And now infrastructure is going to be proceeded to go in and basically offer opportunity for affordable housing. So I wanted to that, and then also you brought up about the road, New Murray Town Road. I was the developer at Stone Creek on New Murray Town.
That's the new subdivision down around 21st Street, I believe, in New Murray Town?
Yes, exactly, New Stone Creek. The city took New Murray Town Road to the right past the last lot on Stone Creek. They also was proactive and widened 22nd Street all the way down to New Murray Town Road, where 2 trucks could pass, because before that, 2 trucks could not pass.
You gotta watch out for the mailboxes.
Just like you explained on New Murray Town Road. So I would assume if the city is going to take New Murray Town Road, which is great, leading to that subdivision, you will see them be proactive with that road also, and you'll see an improvement, more than likely, on that road, which then they will exceed mostly, probably about 60, having 60% of New Murray Town Road will be under the city of Cleveland's authority to be able to do improvements, and then they're really good. I mean, just go down to the end of New Murray Town Road where you live, take a right on 22nd Street, and look at that improvement all the way to Freeway Road.
I see it, and I run across the traffic. You're responsible for the traffic that comes down that road, obviously, because you built a neighborhood, not saying anything negative about it. But, like Jim said, you can't go down the road and meet a car head-on without pretty much coming to a dead stop. And I'm assuming that will be taken care of if, this development goes forward. But there are other issues, as far as, I don't think we'll have 60% septic tanks go out in our neighborhood, so to say, but, I know it's just an analogy. But what I'm saying is, I don't think that anybody where I live or around there would vote to pay more taxes and get nothing from it. It'd take years and years to get a septic line up through there. So, it all sounds good and dandy, you know, for them to build a nice neighborhood down at the end and for it to work out for them. But, you know, as far as residents, I've been living there for pretty much 30 years. And we built our home in the neighborhood. And last thing we want to do is pay city taxes and be pulled into the city, you know, without a referendum,
Yeah.
without a vote on it.
Let me ask, throw this in there. I have had some of your neighbors call me, wanting to know if this would happen, if they could tap into the city sewer, the ones that are having septic tank problems in that subdivision already. And there are some people having problems.
I don't know of anybody up and down through there, and it's pretty easy to fix. You know, whether it's one or two people. I haven't seen anybody having septic problems, and like I said, we only have 34 houses, and we know everybody up and down the street. But, you know, if you say that's the case, and that's the case, but, you know, we're really against the development down there simply because of what it will bring to the neighborhood, you know, as far as increased traffic. Why do we want, you know, 90 homes with in and out on our little bitty road? Well, we have a hard enough time because of the neighborhood that you built, Dennis.
I believe it's 36 homes that are proposed for that New Murraytown Road. The others are proposed, the townhomes are proposed to exit out on Freeway Avenue.
Right. I just wanted to make a statement following Jim and back him up, to let you know that there's more than just Jim that are concerned about it. You know, our neighbors that we, of course, this is something we found out about this weekend. It's not like somebody has come and told us that, you know, we're going to be annexed down to the end of the street, and it is right at the entrance of our neighborhood, you know, where this is going to take place. So it's not like a lot of people are aware of it, but as more people become aware of it, the more we talk with people and our neighbors, no one's really for it.
Could I ask you how many homes are in your subdivision?
Yeah.
Crystal View?
I think I counted, was it 34, Carol?
So
It's 34.
similar to what Crystal View is.
Yeah, 34, but we've got large lots, unlike what you developed. Our lots in our neighborhood are at least a half an acre.
But that was done in a different time.
Exactly, you're exactly right, it was around 92.
When we purchased land in there.
Yeah, you're exactly right, it's around 92. So it is a different situation, but we kind of love our peace and quiet, and it would be.
And y'all are 34 homes are not having any problem exiting and entrance on New Murraytown Road currently?
Well, it's not a matter of getting on there or pulling in our neighborhood, it's a matter of going down the road and meeting traffic head on. And then when you get down to Harrison Pike, pulling out there too. There's a stop sign there, and traffic in the morning when it goes to schools. And as Jim said, you know, people normally hit the first Cleveland exit going down Harrison Pike. Well, Harrison Pike?
Well,
Harris Creek, yeah.
Yeah, I understand, there's.
So it's just something that we wouldn't look forward to, and we wouldn't really endorse, and we hope that it doesn't go through, but we just wanted you to know how we felt about it. You know, there's no advantage to us.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
We just gave all the Bradley County employees 4%, most of them 4% tax, or increase in their salaries, which is, you know, we pretty much have to do almost every year. And guess where all that money came from? Growth, tax, revenue.
Yeah, I work for Hamilton County government, so I understand a little bit of the workings of the government.
So,
you know,
I was just gonna ask you, so if we kill growth in Bradley County, and we don't have roughly $1.2 million to be able to give whatever we want to do with each year, and like this year in this budget that we're gonna vote on, basically all to do pay raises for all the Bradley County employees. But see, we got an issue in Bradley County about infrastructure anyhow, because see, we're after to build and develop in high density, because that's the only feasible way of doing so. And if we would have had infrastructure that was implemented in the county, our subdivisions would be spread out in all different areas. But you know, that's the philosophy of how we've done for 20 years here with lack of infrastructure going into the county. We have a lot of issues that we need to work out where the growth will not all just happen in the urban growth area and right next to the city to where the sewers can go out. It'd be great if we could implement infrastructure and then spread some of these developments out, and where they're not all put it into one pot, we're basically on the fringe of the city of Cleveland.
Well, I understand what you're saying, Dennis. It sounds more like an argument for the city council and for them raising taxes. You know, the county is spread out a lot bigger area than Cleveland, Tennessee. You can bring in industrial industries into and get tax revenue off of that, as well as, you know, commercial. You know, and residential, you don't have to cram, you know, 34 houses on 5 or 6 lots. I mean, it's 5 or 6 acres. You know, you can spread, if you want to develop, you can develop. You've got all the land out in the county. And like I said, industrial, start pulling in industries into the county. You know, that little neighborhood isn't going to affect your 3% raise that you're looking for the county employees this year. It's not going to make that big of a difference.
It's not feasible for developers to develop in the county because we don't have infrastructure. They won't.
Excuse me, gentlemen, but if we could move on,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Young. I appreciate you coming up. Commissioner Thompson and Commissioner Hughes.
Y'all on the right track. Let me tell you something about the city. They hold us hostage all the time.
Amen.
And they hold you hostage to this sewer. And that's what they're doing here. They're holding you hostage. In other words, they want it. If you want sewer, you're going to have to be annexed. That's what they're saying. Now, this growth plan, it sounds to me like it's going to go for another 100 years. I thought it was a 20-year growth plan. But the city comes up with this stuff all the time. And I'll guarantee you I'll be going to vote against it. And you people have the right to get up here and complain.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson. Commissioner Hughes.
Jim, if I'm understanding this correctly, they're talking about annexing New Marytown Road. It's going to be up to the subdivision that they're building. I didn't understand it to be free will. The other one, or all with Harrison Pike, the other side was free will, which was brought up in the road committee about where Commissioner Epperson himself tried to get around without their state refused it and left the price on us. If you'll recall, I actually asked the city if they would help on something like that, or if they would look into something like that if this happened. The other issue is that although they're annexing these roads, you have a large portion of land next to your subdivision, correct?
That is correct.
At the point that they annex New Marytown Road and Free Will, then at that point, that land is not non-continuous. It has city touching it at that point. So therefore, the commission will never hear about it. It'll either be bought and annexed. However, we have some good people here. I know many of them, realtors, I know many of you guys, developers and so on, and I respect every one of you and so do everything I can to keep development coming because I really believe it is important and we have to have it. However, it's been made out that we are the ones that are keeping you from developing this property. And that is not true. And quite honestly, we asked for time to look, and we tabled it to look into this law and some other issues. For example, the Harrison Pike. Prospect School is already over capacity. They cannot take any more students, or have to add to it. If you'll recall, I asked the school, or I asked Joe Favis if he would add in there a waiver for if we took a loan to have to add into that they'd waive the 50% of the loan that we have to get from them. I hadn't heard anything about that yet. I hadn't heard anything about helping on Free Will either, and Harrison Pike connection. My point is that the city could always waive this, give them sewer, let them start, and they could give the people in the residents that lives in the subdivision the choice to be annexed in the city or not. So the fact that the county is holding it up because we're not looking at something right now to find out more information just holds no water.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Mr. Rawls, you want to come up and speak?
I'd just like to clarify something. I don't really know. So as you expand this property by property, you expand the area that the city contacts. So the more you expand this out, the more of these properties touch the city, are now connected. So therefore, you can expand it even more. Am I correct about that? So each one of these properties that is annexed into the city, every time you do this, you have more opportunity to annex even more, and this is a continuum. Am I right about that? That's not right?
No, you're right.
It's only requested. Only requested.
Can't go past the growth plan.
So, but it can be expanded out to the edge of the growth plan.
Yeah, they ask.
And what prevents the expansion of the growth plan? Is that set in stone, or is that something that can be further expanded?
I'm assuming that to be another agreement between city and county. And Charles.
All right, appreciate it.
Come on up. State your name and address, or you want to do the address, sir?
I am Roy Martin. I live on Crystal View also. And you've addressed most of my questions, but one thing I want to ask is, I know you mentioned Prospect as the capacity, but they're not just building there. They're building another, I think it's 100 homes on Hensley. They're building on Villa. Where else are they building? Candies over there by Free Will. So that's probably 400 or 500 homes. Where are they going to go to school? What about fire? What about, police? I was in the military also. In every state I lived in, most of them, they had something in place where if a builder came in to build a bunch of homes, they were responsible for providing some of those before they built the homes. And, they might want to look into that too, because somebody's got to fund that, and not the people. The builder needs to be responsible for some of what they did. So, that's all.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Commissioner Peak.
I just wanted to throw out some information that hit my brain a minute ago. We cannot bring in more industry without homes to put people in that are coming. When you're marketing our area for industry, you have to market it with homes that are available. And we do not have homes that are available. We are trying to get homes to be available, but we have a deficit here in Cleveland, Tennessee, in homes. And all of those subdivisions that you were talking about, the 400 to 500 homes, those are all in the city. So the city will have to worry about building or expanding their own schools. We do not have to take them at Prospect. I will say it again, we need to stop taking them. If you're not zoned for our school, I'm sorry, go to the city. We do not have to take it. So we're creating our own problem by allowing them to come to our school. Yes, the county has the greatest schools in the United States. That's why everybody wants to come here. But if you're not zoned for it, I'm sorry, go to one of the city's great schools, because they have plenty of them and they have some brand new schools. So those homes are all in the city, and all of those services that you're talking about, the city will have to provide. They'll have to provide the school, they'll have to also provide the police, the 911, the fire, all of that, if they're in the city. And once again, you cannot be forced to be annexed unless you request annexation.
Not if the contiguous, not if they can pull you in.
Mr. Young, we have to be called, you want to call them?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Young.
Thank you.
If the way I understand it, they can contiguously, like the property behind their neighborhood, pull that in.
Yes, they could request to be annexed, yes, but that's the private property owner's right to do so.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson, and then this lady right here could come up and speak. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm going to address this to you, Mr. Chairman, and not to be where it's not so personal. I wanted to point out some of the issues that, or some of the comments that were made at the road committee department, and a few other comments that were made. The Harrison Pike and the Free Will intersection, that is a state road. They did a traffic testing on that, and basically deemed that there was not enough traffic, and me and Commissioner met out there with State Representative Dan Howell, and they were gonna do another traffic count based on, because they did the first one when we were in the middle of the COVID. So I haven't got reports back on that yet, but they said if Bradford County wanted to move forward, and they suggested doing a roundabout, that we would have to pay for it, but if we wanted to move forward before the state deemed that it was necessary at their intersection, part of the city of Cleveland being responsible for a state intersection and asking them to be willing to take care of a state intersection, I don't think the city would ever agree to that. And I know that with me working with the state, trying to push for a roundabout being put there, they'll probably do it when they seem that it's deemed necessary. And also, this law that we were talking about, basically, it only, and Commissioner Peake spoke a little bit about it, it pertains to Germantown and Middleton. This doesn't happen until, doesn't go into effect. And it also is a local education authority, or those two towns are the only ones that this law would pertain to. And basically, I almost think that we have to have our county attorney to look at this law, because I don't want any misinformation put out there about this. Because the way I'm looking at it, it's House Bill 2430 that was done by White. It will become effective January 2023. And the lawyers that drafted this bill basically were from Germany. And they made sure that the language within this law only pertained to those two towns, or a local LEA, which is a local education authority. So I think that I would like to ask for Crystal to give us an opinion on this law, and it only affects municipalities, and we're not either one. So
I'll be glad to get that too, Commissioner Crine and Commissioner Offit.
I'm only going to take a couple of seconds here. I've got this so-called law in Germantown and whatever in West Tennessee. I've gone through it about 5 times. I haven't found where it's restricted in black and white to Germantown or whatever over there. It's statewide. Until I see it in black and white, to me, it's statewide. And I was ended there, not getting no long litany of words.
Commissioner Offit?
Yeah, Mr. Crider mentioned just what I was going to talk a little bit about. That's the reason I tabled the thing in the road committee the other day, because that law, we don't know where that law is right now. I listen to Ms. Peake and everything. She's not a lawyer. Until we get a opinion from a lawyer and from Dan Howe and some people like that, I agree with Mr. Crider. We don't need to do anything with this thing because that law could affect Bradley County schools tremendously. And it's really a scary thing if it goes into effect. And the thing about it, the way I read it, you only get 4 years, 8 years, or 12. At the end of 12 years, it doesn't say what might happen. Whether the city can just come in and take over the county school or not, it doesn't say. It just says at the end of 12 years it ends. So we don't have any idea what this law is all about right now, and that's the reason I wanted to table it until we got some professional opinions from lawyers and representatives. And I understand from talking with Ms. Cash that Mr. Howe's supposed to be looking into this thing and try to give us an opinion, hopefully anyway. But this law is really scary in my opinion, as far as schools goes. And I was going to see, I see Mr. Duval, Corey back there. When y'all take all of Newtown in, what's the reason for taking all of Newtown, New Murray Road, Newtown Murray? New Murray Town Road.
I believe in the interlocal agreement, we were taking all of Free Will and it's in front of the development on
Okay, because Mr. Fivers the other day, I thought he said taking in the whole road.
don't think that's what he said.
Okay, I may have misunderstood him, yeah. Because it, you know, 'cause it opens up a lot of land, like this gentleman was talking about a minute ago. It would open up a heck of a lot of land for somebody else to start developing if they wanted to. Thank you.
I've got a couple commissioners, but I'd like this lady to come up first. She's been waiting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for hearing me today. My name is Delia Wilson. Jim Wilson is my husband, so I won't talk about what he spoke about. But I also have a home off of exit 20, right there as you exit and come into Cleveland. Well, right there, what was it, Cherokee Creek Expressway, whatever they call that, it dead ends into my property. They started that road in 2016. It's still working. They still haven't finished it. So what I'm trying to bring this up for is because we're talking about the fact that we're going to need to expand the road on the Murraytown Road and maybe Freewell too. And the more people, the more traffic you get, there's going to be more wear and tear to the roads. So who's going to pay for that?
Well,
We are, right?
well.
Okay, then I heard the builder was talking about how they're going to expand the road for the entrance into New Murraytown and the entrance into Freewell. What about the rest of the road? There's still going to be really thin little lanes and hard to get by. I travel that road, and every time I see somebody coming, I slow down. Most of them don't slow down, they just keep going. And some of them are really big trucks. It's scary. And the more people you have there, the more of a hurry they're going to be. So that's just part of the reason why we're against it. Another thing, somebody mentioned here about the sewer. If 60% of the people in the neighborhood wanted it, well, they can request it and they can hook up to the sewer. It's not that easy. The property that I have in Exit 20, we just got 3 quotes to get hooked up to the sewer. From $12,000 to $15,000 it's going to cost. 3 quotes we got. And what I'm saying is, the people that want to get annexed so that they can get hooked up to the septic or the sewer, whatever, they don't know this. I didn't know this until I just got these 3 quotes. What I got from the city was a letter saying it's going to cost you $1,000 to tap, because you got to pay for the permit to tap. That's all. I thought, oh, $1,000, no problem. But no, there's a lot more to it than that. I just wanted to bring that up. It's not that easy. And if you're going to have people make those kind of decisions, they need to have the facts. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Blake and then Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was about 4 or 5 months ago, probably even more, we had a non-continuous annexation request or interlocal agreement. At that time, I was kind of the first one that I remember dealing with, so I did some research on it. Most of the things that I found out during that one are applicable to this one as well, the growth plan and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, the growth plan was approved by this county commission, the city of Cleveland, and the city of Charleston. And it was up there on the monitor a few moments ago. All that is, all that's in the red is potential city one day. Someone who lives out in Buck's Pocket, who would love to be in the city, can't even request it. So there is a limit until those 3 bodies get together and decide to either amend it or do something with the growth plan. And at the end of the day, that's going to drive the conversation, so to speak. But I do have one question, if I may, Dan, real quick. The parcels that are being requested to annex right now, if I understand it, the land doesn't hurt. I mean, you couldn't build houses there currently if they were septic or not, right? I mean,
We didn't do any soil mapping because there's,
so it's got to be sewer? I mean,
well, we did not do any soil mapping. The developer was instrumental in helping get sewer extended under the interstate, which opened up this entire area for the opportunity to connect to sewer, whereas before it didn't have that. And so there is sewer already on this property, and that's as far as we got on connecting to that sewer.
As far as access to it. I mean, it's there.
It is.
Extended there to the.
It is on the property.
Right, exactly.
Right, so there's no consideration right now to build houses there on septic. I mean, obviously the monetary, I get the economics of it, but practicality of, it's not gonna happen.
There was a mobile home park for years, and that's been removed. I think those were on septic, but no, there's no consideration for that.
All right, thank you. Next thing, Mr. Chairman, I've heard it a couple of times, in the last 20, 30 minutes. There's been a couple of, we assume that there's gonna be expansions to the roads. Hopefully, if we can get that in writing somewhere, that these roads are gonna be expanded, because we all know about the whole assumption thing. And like I said, the last non-continuous one, down, I think at Pleasant Road, I don't know if they've done anything. Next, with respects to this very, very important law that was passed by the General Assembly, I think we've got plenty of time to get answers on that. Here we are on June 27th, and Commissioner Peak has placed us on the July 18th. So I agree, it is very important to get the answers. You guys know me, I like to find out exactly what we're getting into so we know what we're dealing with. But we shouldn't take a day or two. We should have an answer by noon tomorrow if we really want to. Once we get that, but the road department, the road committee met, if I understood their agenda, to address Superintendent Knight's concern, and I don't know if that ever happened. So I guess that's that Newburgh Town Road issue as well. So they called a committee meeting, and I understand the education concern came up and it was tabled, and they went on with their agenda. But I think we need to find out what our concern is and if those concerns have been addressed. And if they have or they haven't, we just need to know. Just that. All I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes?
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the city is going to annex Freewell Road and New Marytown Road, and as soon as these people leave these neighborhoods, they're going to either take a right or they're going to take a left. They're not going to take, coming out of the 100 Freewell to right and go out to Harrison Pike, go to downtown Cleveland to go to the courthouse or whatever else they do downtown Cleveland. Same on New Marytown Road, they're not going to take a left coming out there and hit Harrison Pike and go to downtown Cleveland. The reason for me saying that, and quite honestly, I didn't say that they need to pay for it, I said assist with it, help with paying for the roundabout. The city is not, I would imagine this subdivision will be in quicker than what that roundabout will come in from the state. But that's my issue with that. The other is that I said it that day, you've got another development going on South Lee Highway that has over 1,000 houses there, residents. The city has no plan to build an elementary school around the south end of the county. They know as well as I do that those parents are not going to pass a county school just to go to the city school. But I would almost say, well, I'm not going to say that because that's guessing true. The odds are that's where they're going to go, so they're saving money on that end of it. The county will be paying for that, and I know it's been said it's our fault for accepting school, our kids out of zone. Somewhat of that is true, but the other part of it is that falls under the school board, not us. It falls on the school board's back, and if they want to teach kids, then they can teach kids. That's what they're there for. Prospect School, you're right. They would want to send them there. It's a community school, and they're part of that community when they come there. That's where you want your kids to be at. So, kudos to you guys for having a great community. But, Mr. Chairman,
thank you, Mr. Hughes. Any Mr. Anderson?
Mr. Chairman, there's been a lot of discussion about roads here, and I know we looked at these buckets of funds that are supposed to be coming in. It might be interesting to look at what we can look at the county road part of this. I know there's all of these subdivisions are going up off of Candace Lane. There's a large one on the corner of what you're talking about here. we as a county are gonna have to look at roads at some point in time. And where the pots of money are out there to deal with the widening of roads and to deal with the things that the county's gonna have to do. So at a point in time, this commission will have to look at that. So I don't know where all the designations of those funds are at this point, but it might be interesting to take a couple of these. We have several that are really demanding road work and look at how roads could be done, that are county roads that could be expanded to show what we can do in that. But that's just something for us to look at a little later on. But I get your point. I drive those roads myself, and I know the challenges there. We don't want to have accidents. We don't want to have problems there with families. So I think this is enlightening to hear what they're saying there. We have a major challenge here to deal with the growth that we need in this county. New housing needs to be in this county. If the new housing's there, we're going to have to look at how we appropriate funds to do the things down in the 4 years that some of us have to deal with this, and some of you will have to deal with this for the next 8 years, and the next 12 years. So it's something to really look at here of how we can start building a way to fund the transportation challenges. You know, we talked about it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. We're talking about impact fees here that the builders will be doing, but that's challenging the very people that are developing the road, the property. So we have to make major decisions down the road, and this is just the beginning of that. And I understand that my home's we've lived in our home 25 years. That's your home. That's where you're going to be. So I understand that's been great dialogue here. That's what democracy's about. But how can we do all this stuff? So that's the biggie for me. I'm sorry, I've got to leave. I have a meeting that I've got to go to. But so
Commissioner Davis. Thank you, Commissioner Winters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Commissioner Winters. I think it's been a great conversation, but I've been sitting here taking notes and just have a couple of questions that maybe we could have answered before the next meeting. The first one is on the law. We have a copy in front of us, and it states that a county school may operate a school located within the geographic boundaries of a municipal LEA if the municipal LEA and the county agree to enter into a written agreement. And I may be missing this, but I know that the conversation has been about Prospect, but it doesn't seem that Prospect touches the city limits here. Even though we definitely need to investigate this law further, I don't know that it necessarily applies to this particular annexation. But I want to find out more. The second question is, it's been mentioned several times that, you know, we can apply for a new sewer line waiver, and I've heard this a lot over the past 4 years, and I don't necessarily think that it has ever happened. Can we find out if a waiver has ever been granted from the city for a sewer line in terms of annexation? Because if it's never happened, it's probably not going to happen. The third question, you mentioned that you had just heard about this weekend. We voted on annexation several months ago, very memorable vote, I do say so myself. But did you happen to see a sign that said that this property was being annexed?
There's a little real estate for sale sign.
Well, it looks like a yard sale sign.
Yes.
I noticed it about two weeks ago in the ditch as I was driving out. I called the number, and that's how this got started.
Okay, does it say something about county annexation
No,
or
it says
annexation applied for?
Annexation questions and a phone number.
She's got a picture of it.
Okay. Just wanted to know if that process was working, because that's a new thing that we just kind of started, so.
A larger sign would be nice.
Okay. The next question, and I guess this is just reassuring the traffic issues. If this happens to pass, we will be requesting a traffic study on those roads per the Planning Commission, correct? Is that something that the commission, because the last time I think we requested it, so what is that process, just so that they're aware?
It's a city, we don't request it.
So the city would request a traffic study for the
We
roads?
can ask them to do that.
Okay.
Now, which end will they do the traffic study on, the city or the portion going in the county?
I guess we could ask them where we're going to get it done.
So we can request that if this is voted on and passes.
Yes.
On contingent upon the vote, we can say, we would like a traffic study done, correct?
We
Okay.
have to pay for it, so why would we put something contingent on a traffic study? What would the result of the traffic study do for us?
I'm just asking the question, just so that we can have some reassurances that this is gonna happen. All right, last question. Since I've been on this commission, we have talked a lot about the growth plan. And from my understanding, it was done in 2013, correct? 2010, okay. I've looked at it at various points, but do we think it would be advantageous to have a building and land committee meeting and go over the growth plan so that some of this isn't a surprise whenever people are requesting annexation? We think, oh gosh, they're requesting annexation, I didn't know about the growth plan. So maybe we should educate ourselves and the public about what is actually on the growth plan.
That would be a great idea.
Okay. All right, I guess that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Got them all written down.
All right, thanks.
Commissioner Slater?
So, just to know in regards to Prospect and the fear that the city may come after Prospect School, we currently have 2 county schools that reside within the city limits right now. Are we concerned that they're gonna wanna take those schools? We are concerned that they want Ocoee Middle and Bradley Island?
I think they're concerned about whatever that bill says, that we need to find information. That's my understanding, which we'll do that immediately. Yes, sir.
Just remind Ms. Slater that there's not a word in there about grandfathering any schools. And if you think about it, it's a lot more than just, the 2 you're talking about. You got North Lee, you got probably 4 or 5, whatever. Pie Center. So, that's why I said before, we need to really find out what's going on.
Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we can sit here all night and speculate how we think that this bill has been drafted, but, you know, with like Commissioner Peak, we've had discussions with Mark White, the Chairman of Education at the state of Tennessee. This bill was drafted by lawyers from Germantown. It would only, and what we are being told, that it only pertains to Germantown and Millington, and it only pertains to municipalities or a local education authority, which there is describing as a LEA in the bill. We can sit here and speculate all night until we get a professional opinion from a lawyer that lets us to back up what Mark White, the Chairman of Education at the state of Tennessee, is telling us. That we don't, I think we don't have anything to fear that the city's going to take our county schools. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think we have said several times that we'll do our due diligence and see that our attorneys see this law and give us an opinion. Commissioner Davis.
I was just gonna ask Mayor Davis if he has spoken with Crystal about this particular law, and if so, what has she said to you about it?
She is looking at it, but she's not given an opinion yet. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But she is looking at it. She'll have something for you way before the 3 weeks is up.
Anything else, Commissioner Davis?
All right.
Commissioner Peak.
I just have one final thought. You know, some of the comments up here are anti-city. It's the anti-city that's in the sentiment. You may not just say that you're anti-city, but it's just the sentiment.
We don't need to be bashing us.
I'm not bashing anybody. I didn't say anybody's name. But what my point is that maybe we should try to reach across the aisle and get along with the city and stop making them the villain all the time. Because I don't think they are. They want to work with us just like we want to work with them. And if we stop all of the undertones then maybe we would get along with them better and have a better relationship and get some things accomplished. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson and
No,
Commissioner.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be real quick. I just wanted to point out, because I know there were some concerns with the Freewell Road. And then some of these residents may not be aware of the plans of maybe the state taking Freewell Road at one time, and then a new bridge going over top of the I-75, tying into, going down through Harrison Pike, and then tying on into exit 20. Eventually, Freewell Road will be all taken in by the state of Tennessee and become a state road. And for us to be able to tell the city of Cleveland how to do it, I mean, they're proposing to take over these roads, and then the county commission is gonna tell the city of Cleveland, we want you to start doing this and this and this and this to your roads. We want you to do a traffic study. We want you to widen these roads. We want you to do all this in writing. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think the city would ever agree to something like that. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Epperson. Commissioner Thompson.
What y'all need to do is go down and join the city council.
Might do it.
Might do that.
Well, you might do it.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, thank you. We all just need to sing Kumbaya and get along. Is there anybody that wants to put a bowl in this at the end? Anybody from the audience, well, I can mention this, anybody else? Let's say anything. Well, somebody else that has this one. Come on over, sir.
I'm Chuck Stanza, live on Crystal View. The question I got is, they're talking about annexing a road. Do all the properties that are on that road become city property? No. It's just the roadway.
Yes, sir. The roadway right there, my understanding, the entrance of where this development will go in. Is that correct, Ms. Berry? Corey, I'm sorry.
Just the roadway.
Just the roadway.
Okay, that's what I was
Yes.
curious, if all those properties that were on that road suddenly become city property.
No, sir. Mr. Berry?
I'll take an opportunity to put a bow on it.
Thank you.
It was the last sentence that I said when I was up here last. Which before you is the annexation for specific property. The property owner requested, he wants to be in the city. And he has, the commission has said that he has the right to be in the city through the growth plan. Delays are costly with inflation, high interest rates, but with growth come issues that need to be discussed, need to be addressed, which we've done today. But these issues are not unique to this development. Please, what we ask is that the commission keep this moving forward and approve what the property owner is asking for, which is the annexation, and let the conversation continue about how you handle growth in this community.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Okay. Communication from the audience. Anybody want to speak for the commission? Yes, come on up, Ms. Gleason.
It's not going to be about the subject we're talking about.
That's okay.
This is in reference to last week. Some things were said that I felt I needed to address as a citizen. First, thank you to those commissioners who saw the logic and fairness of not approving a 12.5% cost of living increase for their administrative assistant and attempting to bring reason to the table as opposed to the unfairness to all the other county workers. In addition to this unsound decision of giving this 12.5% increase, we, the taxpayers, are now faced with the pursuit of other department heads applying pressure for the same. Eventually, the commission will ask again for a tax increase to satisfy the fury of the county workers. As one commissioner put it, we have opened up a Pandora's box. We will now be spending all of our efforts to appease the county workers. It wasn't enough to receive a hearty bonus for Christmas with more taxpayer money, in addition to no layoffs, no job losses, no missed paychecks, while the rest of the taxpayers suffered with loss of wages, loss of businesses, loss of education, increased mental health issues, suicides, drug abuse, child abuse, spouse abuse. And then we have our finance chair using rhetoric, and I paraphrase, that since the election commission keeps spending over budget each year, wouldn't it make more sense to budget that money at the beginning of the budget year rather than at the end of the budget year? I thought for a moment I heard that wrong, so I listened to it again. They really did say that. So instead of the department being penalized for going over budget by over $16,000, we are going to accommodate them. My question is, who allowed them to go over budget? Was this mismanagement of funds? Then we have a commissioner who excoriates the taxpayers about how we need to think about how we are going to pay for these pay increases that will certainly have to be dealt with in the near future. They complain on how difficult these decisions are, and then whine about their face being placed on a sign that states a fact. Quite frankly, if these financial decisions are too difficult for any commissioner, I would suggest that it is a good thing that they would no longer sit on the commission. You have a balanced budget. You make decisions based on that budget and the plans laid out for the next 10 years. You focus on how to grow the local economy and help the local businesses by creating a business-friendly environment. We don't put the cart before the horse by raising the county workers' pay and raising taxes to support that. You will never have the support of the taxpayers for this type of mismanagement of tax dollars. Then we have two arrogant commissioners who do what they do because they can. One thinking that because they worked 20 years for a government department, that they know anything about how to spend taxpayer money responsibly. We have a commissioner who only knows how to pontificate, usually saying nothing of substance. And please don't go on about how your administrative assistant is being villainized. You are the ones causing this person to be villainized. The person making the most sense in all of this is Mayor Davis. He gave you a balanced budget, which you approved. Now stick to the budget. It's really that simple. Y'all are acting like a bunch of Dems. Don't call yourselves conservative Republicans when your only answer is to raise taxes. I see this whole theatrical display of the need to give the county workers a pay increase in order to set the stage for another tax increase. I strongly suggest that you back off that. You may not like the outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Anyone else want to speak for the commission?
I'm just interested in how the election office was allowed to run over budget. And then part of the problem was that they held money back to give themselves bonuses. So how is that acceptable? And what action is going to be taken against this department? Why is this department, when you go in there, there's never anybody there? You can't get anything done. We request all types of information and stuff, and it's 2 and 3 and 4 weeks late. People don't turn, the candidates are not turning in their paperwork. Nobody says anything about it. It's like this is a standard protocol that they're allowed to exceed these dates, which further makes it much more difficult for anyone looking at what's going on. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe that's the plan. Why is action not being taken against the individual that runs that department? That individual is never there. I was in there 10 times requesting information. She was there once. When is someone, you are the funding body, how many, does anyone in y'all do know that this individual is a county employee, even though that is a state, oh yeah. She is, who pays her salary?
Go ahead and finish, Dan.
Who pays her salary? The county pays her salary. That's who pays her
You just
salary.
be allowed to finish. I'll be happy, Dan, I'll be happy
Okay.
to answer your question.
But here's what I want to know. Why is there never anyone there? Why is the paperwork never done? Why is the training not given for the poll workers? Why are all these things that break the state protocol? Why is nothing done about any of this? How long do people in this community have to accept this level of incompetence? I want to know. Here's an individual that's paid far more than the average citizen in this community, probably close to twice. Why is this going on? What is really going on? Why? And there's nothing done about it. Everybody just seems to think, well, you know, oh, no. What action can be taken? I'm open. I want to hear.
Commissioner Blake.
Dan, let me address some of those. With respect to what was done about her budget, the election, that's what you're referring to.
That's one of the things.
Yeah, okay, we'll get to them all. I noticed it, I guess, we get the monthly report, you remember, and I noticed it, and I took it to her attention. I said, you know, according to your burn rate, right, you're going to be exceeding that. Really didn't get an answer to what she was going to do. We had an election going on. She basically informed me that she had a job to do, and that was pretty much the conversation. So I asked the director of the County Commission Association. We were up in Nashville at the meeting up there. I met with him and I said, I never mentioned the name just to keep it, you know, not personal, so to say. I said, we have what happens if you have an elected official or department head that is exceeding their budget? And his response was, talk to the chairman of the election commission. And then, as you remember, the auditors came in, I think in May, you remember that, and I asked the chief auditor, I think that's his title, what can be done? And again, his response was, talk to the chairman of the election commission. And that's the only recourse we really have. I'm frustrated with it, to be honest with you, that, as the mayor mentioned last week, you know, if someone's allowed to go, and there's nothing we can do, we have to pay the workers once they submit their time card. I can't go in there and take money out of their budget because they haven't made some effort. I mean, so I hope that, to talk to our representatives up in Nashville, our senators, and say, what can the county commission do, or any funding body do when you have someone going over their budget? Right now, I feel like my hands are tied. Talking to the chairman of the election commission was all I was given. So I hope that's exactly what happened on that. I hope that answers your question. Maybe not to your satisfaction, but I hope that answers your question. The next one, what was the second question you had?
You know, what is a minimum work requirement? How does someone make that type of money and appear to work 18 to 20 hours a week?
The law is very clear on that. When the election administrator makes 90% of what their assessor property makes, that's a code, I believe, TCA code, something. So whatever our assessor property makes, 90% of that is what the administrator. That's throughout all 95 counties.
I understand that, but my question is that when the individual is not in the office?
Okay, so as far as that goes, they made it very, very clear that the county commission, the city council, the school boards are not to interfere. You don't want the politicians, so to speak, interfering with elections, because the tipping the scale and all that kind of stuff. There's a Chinese wall, so to speak, with respect to all the government employee or the government elected officials and what the election commission does.
Who has that oversight over these individuals?
So here's how the hierarchy, I guess, is what you're referring to. is, the local county election commission is appointed by the state election commission. And so the 5 members, the 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats are appointed by the state election commission, who are appointed by the state reps and the state senators. So it basically, I was on the election commission back in 09 and 10. I was appointed by, at that time, Representative Brooks and Senator Bell. So that's who ultimately puts the people on the election commission.
So what we're basically talking about here is that there is no repercussions for the actions of this office. There is no oversight for the actions of this office.
Well, the oversight would be the election, the election, the 5 members of the election commission.
Have you ever tried to get a meeting with them?
I have.
Okay, so why don't you get us a meeting with them? I want a meeting with them. No, try. We tried.
They have a monthly meeting, and it's
You
open to the
can't
public.
say anything.
Well, that's their rules. I mean.
Okay, so I revert back. I revert right back. Who has the oversight? And we cannot speak. We're not their dogs. They are not doing their job.
Dan, I'm trying to answer your question.
I got you. But I want you to understand the level of frustration that we see here, that we see a lot of problems, and there is nothing that anybody can do, because we've tried. We've been down these roads. I want somebody to tell me how to get in the door.
Well, I know this because when I was on the election commission, they meet, I believe, the first Monday of the month. They may have changed that since then, but they meet once a month, and they have to meet more when we have elections coming up here in the next couple of weeks, and they have to let the public sit in their meetings. Now, whether they recognize you in their meeting, that's up to the chairman, just like it's up to our chairman on the county commission. But they have to let you in to participate. As soon as that gavel hits and the meeting is called to order, they have to let you in.
Well, yeah, and I understand that completely, but what I'm saying is, and when you're allowed into a meeting, but you're not allowed to speak, and you're not allowed to discuss the issues at hand and the problems at hand, and there's nobody dealing with those problems now. And we want to see somebody deal with those problems. We want to see some accountability. I'm wanting to know what can be done about it.
Okay, and that would be at the state level.
So you've got to go to Nashville.
You gotta go, right now, our state representative is Mark Hall and Senator Bell, who are both leaving their respective positions, but whoever takes their spots, and Representative Howell as well, they're the ones that, and that's consistent with the other election commissions throughout the state. The state reps and the state senators are the ones who have more dialogue with county election commissions than county commissions do. We just give them the money, like you said. To the other, I do remember one thing. She is a state. All election administrators are state employees, and the reason, and Mayor, we remember this. There was a lawsuit years ago, and it went between whether or not the administrator was a state employee or a county employee because of termination or something like that. It went on for years, right, Mayor? I believe. Eventually, it was ruled that the election administrator is a state employee, but funded by county commission.
So we pay her salary, and she's under them.
That's right.
And we apparently have no recourse against any type of incompetence at any local level.
That's an absolute. You do have some recourse, and it's through the state rep and state senator who represent the county. I'm trying to answer your question.
I appreciate. I am appreciative of that, and I just think that there's a problem that there's not a that you can be stonewalled pretty easily. We've seen that. So I think it's something that needs to be dealt with.
And when I meet with the representatives and state senators and the county commission associates and CTAS and all these people, I'm going to ask. I'm going to show what happened and ask, as a county commissioner of 1 of 14, what can we do? The mayor what can, the executive committee, or executive branch can do? You know, they submit their timesheets to the payroll department, they have to pay them. I mean, if you work a certain amount of time, you have to be paid. You cannot deny someone pay. So what can we do? I'm with you on that.
I just think that it's interesting that there's no qualification, there's no requirement, there's no time schedule. You don't have to be there 35 hours a week. You don't have to do this. You don't have to accomplish this task. Pretty much once you're in there, and if you're not removed, you're just allowed to run amok, is what it appears to me. You know, when I look and see what what we've encountered trying to go in and obtain paperwork, and I mean, at what level are elections not an absolute? Do people not wonder why you have a low voter turnout? When people don't have a feeling that the elections are fair and well done and can't get answers, big part of the problem. That's a big part of the problem. So if you don't believe your elections are fair, and I think we saw a lot of that, and we're seeing more of it. And I don't think it's just in Bradley County and Tennessee. I think it's everywhere. I think this is a big problem. So anyway, I do appreciate your time. Thanks.
Hold on. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead, Mr. Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be quick. I know you're frustrated and you want to get out of here. I just have some questions, two questions. And it sounds like have you ever been to their monthly meetings?
Yes.
Have you tried to be recognized by the chairman?
We were told that you can't be recognized. We were told that you can attend, but you cannot speak.
Did you try to be recognized by the chairman when you attended the monthly meetings?
Didn't stand up and say, "Excuse me." No, we didn't.
I think he's trying to say what by whatever protocols they told you, correct?
Yes.
We can give you more information on that if you want to hear. Can we address, can we speak on that?
You've already spoken, Ms. Gleason, if you could give us that information or talk to them, that would be fantastic.
I can give you a letter.
Okay, that would be great.
I can show you that they will not meet with us outside of that monthly meeting so that we can have dialogue with them.
If you could get that to me, I would appreciate it, and I'll pass it on to other commissioners.
I can send it to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
One quick thing on your issue. That sounds like an issue for the state comptroller, who acts as the IG in most states to handle those kind of issues.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Just a little note.
I saw your hand up there.
My name's
so
Mark
too.
Cooper, I'm listener. I'm with the group that Deborah was with. We went and sat in the audit meeting after the May election because we were poll workers. And we were just told before we walked in the door, you don't say a word, you sit there in the corner. They treat us like children. Said you sit in the corner and you don't say a word or you're out. That's basically what we were told. So that's how it's run. You guys need to try that yourselves and see, because that's how they treat you. Second of all, I called Mark Hall and I asked him specific questions about this. He could not even answer my questions. I said, who's in charge? Who runs? Tell me the chain of command. He said, I don't really know. So that's our state representative for you. I'm just telling you. It's just like this is like a twilight zone. And the election commission just floats around and nobody can touch it. We gotta fix it.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes, in the back there.
I don't have anything to say about any of that. I just don't want you to forget about us. I have some more information for you. Mr. Rourke usually comes and gives y'all all this information. But I did want to say that the danger of a fire at the landfill is it blowing up. That endangers hundreds of lives, and y'all should know that. I don't fear that because they are pretty well run and it's not their first fire. But anytime there is an odor, there is a gas that is produced. When garbage decomposes, it produces nitrogen and hydrogen, which makes ammonia. Now, I know for a fact that Mr. Rourke has been before y'all and told y'all that the ammonia is running high from all the monitors. We breathe that every day. Starting June the 3rd, all the way to this evening, there has been a severe dumpster odor in this neighborhood. The dumpster odor is gas. It is decomposing garbage, making a gas. All of it boils down to methane, which y'all see the big stack burning. Now, the only way to fix this is for them to close that sale that is right next to our neighborhood. They have to put more dirt on it, and they have to close it, or we will continue to have this problem. And if you did your research, then you would know what I'm talking about. And that's all I've asked, is that y'all just look, y'all can look it up just like I do. And I appreciate you, Mr. Epperson, for at least calling the EPA on the sludge. The sludge produces severe gas. Garbage produces a gas. Everything they put over there produces a gas. And because it is 100 yards from our neighborhood, we breathe it every day. Y'all are killing us. You don't know it, but you're killing us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pass. Anybody else? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I know you want to get out of here frustrated. But just so everybody knows, when you look at those resolutions on the taxes, there is no tax increase. It is going to be exactly the same as it was the year before on all 3 tax levies. So there is no tax increase whatsoever in the proposed budget. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, the next meeting, voting session, Monday, July the 5th, the day after the 4th, or rather be a Tuesday, I should say. Yeah, Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, 7 o'clock here at the courthouse. Upcoming events, Avail ribbon cutting and 1-year anniversary, June 30th at 4 o'clock. It's at Stewart Road. There will be a candidate forum, June the 30th at 4 o'clock at the Chamber of Commerce, and county offices will be closed Monday, July 4th in observance of Independence Day. Motion to adjourn.
No, do you have fireworks?